famous for being. What kind of job is that? Not really a job at all. In fact, I think I'd put them at number 1.
Well, they're actually at number 10 after PR people and politicians.
Ah, the professional liars. I'm sorry, is that very cynical of me? So what about the flip side? Do they say anything about the most respected jobs? Radio show host, maybe? Disc jockeys?
No, I'm afraid not. Despite your own dazzling performance, Steve, I think you're going to have to content yourself with not being one of the baddies.
Yeah.
No, the most respected professionals are members of the armed forces, followed by rescue workers, nurses, vets, teachers, ambulance drivers, and firefighters.
Just as it should be. Thanks, Amanda. If you've got any comments, please drop us a line on something to say.
ကဲအဲ့တော့အခုဒီမှာပေါ့နော်အခုမှပဲငါ escape ရတော့တယ်အဲ့တော့နောက်တစ်ခုကိုဟိုဟာဒီဘက်နောက်ဆောင်မျက်နှာမှာလေနည်းနည်းလေးသူနဲ့ဆိုင်တာလေးကိုချက်ပြမယ်နော်သူအခုမှရိုးစာကိုတွေ့ရမှာခုနနားထောင်တဲ့ဥစ္စာရဲ့စာပေါ့နော်ဒီမှာ listen and tick the things 1 to 8 that I mentioned with your hands, so you will see 1 to 8. The presenter had a bad experience with the traffic warden. Now, traffic wardens claim that they do not deserve their reputation. Fewer and fewer people want to become traffic wardens. Phone companies are sometimes responsible for cold calling. The survey was probably carried out in a city. Football players are more popular with men than with women. The presenter has a poor opinions of politicians. People's attitudes towards the police are changing. အဲ့တော့ခုနကလည်းနှစ်ခေါက်သုံးခေါက်နောက်ထောင်ပြီးပြီဆိုတော့အခုဒီမှာဒီခါကိုဖွင့်ပြတဲ့အခါမှာကြားတာတွေကိုဟိုပါပေါ့နော် tick လုပ်သွားမယ်အဲ့တော့ be careful about เนาะဘာလဲဆိုတော့ listen and tick the things 1 to 8ပေါ့နော်ဆိုလိုတာကကျတို့ကဒီမှာသူပြောတဲ့အထက်မှာဒီ number 1ကနေ8ထိမဟုတ်ဘဲနဲ့ဥပမာတခြား number ပေါ့9ဖြစ်မယ်10ဖြစ်မယ်ဆိုရင် you don't need to mention it ဟုတ်တယ်နော်အဲ့တော့မေးခွန်းသေးချာ1 to 8ထဲမှာပဲ mention လုပ်သွားတာကိုနားထောင်သူကပြောသွားတဲ့အချိန်မှာတခြားသောဟာတွေလည်းသူ mention လုပ်မယ်လေနံပါတ်10ရောက်နေတာပါပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါကိုလုပ်စရာမလိုဘူး1 to 8ထဲမှာပဲဟိုသူပြောတဲ့ဟာကိုလုပ်မယ်မပြောရင်မလုပ်ဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးသတိချမေးခွန်းသေးချာဖတ်မယ်နော်အဲ့တော့ဒီချက်အခုဒီမှာဒါ last time သဘောပဲဖွင့်ပြမယ်နော် okay
Track 9 Lesson D Hate List.
Right, so it's back to the studio to take a closer look at today's news stories. So, Amanda, what have you got for us today?
Well, Steve, there's a great survey that's just come out to find the UK's top 10 most hated professions.
Most hated professions?
Yes, that's right. Care to guess what comes in at number 1?
I reckon number 1 has got to be tax inspectors.
Well, no, actually, you're wrong.
Ah.
In fact, they're not actually in the top 10, although you're not going to be at all surprised to find out who the number 1 most hated profession is.
Well, if it's not tax inspectors, then I guess it must be traffic wardens?
Yes, that's the one. It seems that despite admitting that traffic wardens are a necessary evil, people still think they're the number 1 high street villains.
I can believe it. I can remember the last time I got a ticket. I was furious. I'd only gone into the shop for 5 minutes, and even though I said I was going to move the car straight away, she still booked me. I couldn't believe it.
You and 1,000 others like you, Steve. But it seems that the traffic wardens themselves aren't too happy with the results. They claim that they're only trying to keep our town centres free of unwanted traffic, and that despite all the stories to the contrary, they are not vindictive and often give drivers a second chance if they say they're moving on.
I can't say I've ever seen that happen. So, who else is on the list? Lawyers? Journalists? Paparazzi?
No, actually, none of those made it to the top 10.
None of them? I find that hard to believe. So, who are the people we love to hate?
Well, there are quite a few I agree with, and I think you will too. Telesales reps, for example. And although I know it's not their fault and they're only doing their job and all that, I absolutely hate being disturbed at home by cold callers.
Yeah, and the phone companies themselves are the worst. I don't answer the phone anymore. Anyone who wants to get hold of me can text me or leave a message.
Yes, and I don't suppose anyone's going to stand up and defend nightclub bouncers or estate agents either.
Are they there then?
Yes, at numbers 2 and 3 respectively, followed by motorcycle couriers and bus drivers.
There must have been a lot of stressed out city drivers answering that survey.
Yes, and although I tend to agree with most of what's on the list, there are some surprises too. Footballers, for example. I thought they were everybody's heroes.
Yes, well, they're supposed to be heroes, aren't they? But in spite of their special hero status, they can be real arrogant, obnoxious thugs at times. I think that's the thing. Despite the fact that they're paid like gods, they often behave badly, swearing, spitting, starting fights.
Yes, well then you'll agree with the next one too, Steve. Reality TV show contestants.
Yes, definitely. Famous for being famous. What kind of job is that? Not really a job at all. In fact, I think I'd put them at number 1.
Well, they're actually at number 10 after PR people and politicians.
Ah, the professional liars. I'm sorry, is that very cynical of me? So, what about the flip side? Do they say anything about the most respected jobs? Radio show host, maybe? Disc jockeys?
No, I'm afraid not. Despite your own dazzling performance, Steve, I think you're going to have to content yourself with not being one of the baddies.
Nah.
No, the most respected professionals are members of the armed forces, followed by rescue workers, nurses, vets, teachers, ambulance drivers, and firefighters.
Just as it should be. Thanks, Amanda. If you've got any comments, please drop us a line on something to say.
Okay, so which are mentioned? 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 ဘာကြားလိုက်လဲကြားလိုက်တဲ့ဟာလေးတွေဒီလိုပြောပါအောင် 1 ကနေ 8 အတွင်းမှာပေါ့နော်ပြောတဲ့ဟာလေးတွေကြည့်အောင်နော်1နဲ့တယောက်က1 2 4တဲ့နောက်က2 4 5တဲ့ okay 1 4 1 4 5တဲ့ 1 4 1 2 7 1 1 3 1 3 4 7မှာတစ်ခုမှားတယ်ပေါ့နော်1 4 7 4 7 1 2 4 7ဒီလည်းမလေးတိုက်တာကြာ7 7 okay ဆိုတော့အခုအဖြေအားလုံးမှာတော့ပေါ့နော်အဖြေအားလုံးကတော့ယူလို့ပြောချင်မှာပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့အကုန်လုံးမမှန်နေတာတစ်ခုပါပဲเนาะအဲ့တော့ဒီချက်အခုပြမယ်เนาะဘာရင်းပါလဲဆိုတော့ဒီအဲ့လိုနည်းနည်းကြာရင်ကိုအဲ့လိုဖြစ်တော့ပြန်ထွက်လို့မရတော့ဘူးလားမရှိလဲလို့မြန်တော့ဘာဖြစ်မှမသိအဲ့ဒါခဏခဏအဲ့လိုဖြစ်တယ်ဘာဖြစ်တာလဲမသိဘူးစနေတယ်အဲ့ဒါလေး listening လေးကိုမသိမသာသေး
Track 9, Lesson D.
လာ
List.
ခဏလေးလာပြီအခုမှ
Right.
ရပြီကဲအခုဒီမှာပါတဲ့ဟာဒီ number 1 okay number 2 4 the first one က traffic warden တွေကို high street villain လို့တောင်ခေါ်ရပေါ့နော်သူဟလာကားပါကင်မှာခဏလေးပဲပေါ့ဟို9မိနစ်လောက်ပဲဈေးသွားမယ်ဥစားကိုအခုပဲရွှေ့တော့မယ်ဥစားကိုသူ့ကိုဟလာ ticket ဖြတ်ပလိုက်တာမျိုးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါအရန်သူတို့ကို high street villain လို့ခေါ်ကြတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့သူတို့ကလည်း traffic wardens က claim that they do not deserve their reputation ဆိုတော့သူတို့အဲ့လိုခေါ်တာသူတို့မထိုက်တန်ဘူးပေါ့သူတို့ကတော့ကောင်းစေချင်လို့လောက်တာပါလို့ပြောတာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်နော် number 2 လည်းပဲ mention လုပ်တယ်လို့ပြောလို့ရတယ် 4 ကကျတော့ phone companies are sometimes responsible for cold calling ဒါကြပြောရဟလာတခါလေးအိတ်ချင်နေမယ်အိတ်ချင်မှာဟာဖုန်းလာတယ်မအားဘူးလည်းမအားဘူးဖုန်းလာတော့အရေးပေါ်အသေးအတန်ပေါ့နော်ဒီချိုးကတည်းကထွက်ပြီးခိုင်းတာမျိုးအဲ့ခါမှာကိုယ်လည်းမသိတဲ့သူကမလို့ခြင်းတဲ့ပစ္စည်းကြောင်းကိုဈေးရောက်တာမျိုးအခုအနည်းဆက်ဆုံးပြောရင်တော့အခုဒီမှာလဲ333တို့ဘာလို့လဲကဏ္ဍ3လုံးနေနဲ့လာတာပဲ this is a cool calling တွေပေါ့နော် and next one survey was probably carried out in a city เนาะဒီ survey ကဒီစားတော့ bus driver တို့ဘာလို့လဲမေးတာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ဒါ city မှာသူတို့လုပ်ထားတဲ့ survey ဖြစ်မှာပေါ့နော် now presenter has a poor opinion of politician တော့ပြောပြီးသား professional liars တို့ပြောပြီးဆိုရဲက politician မှာအမြင်မကြည့်ဘူးပေါ့နော် okay sorry အဲ့တော့ဒီမှာ1 2 4 5 9เนาะအဲ့တော့ဒါတွေကို mention လုပ်သွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီမှာ football players အကြောင်းတွေပြောတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ football players အကြောင်းပြောတဲ့အခါမှာသူတို့ရဲ့နေရာက number 10မှာရှိတာเนาะဒါကြောင့်မို့လို့ဒီ number 6မှာကြာတော့သူအကြောင်းမပါဘူးပေါ့နော် okay အဲ့တော့ဒါကပြီးသွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ teacher Pauline can I hand over the floor
Yes, ma.
အဲ့ဆိုရင်မဟိုလုပ်လိုက်တော့မယ်နော်ဟို
Yes.
stop share လုပ်လိုက်တော့မယ်နော်အဲ့ဒီဟာအနောက်ဘက်ကလေးနော်ဆက်သွားလို့ okay နော် bye bye နော် okay
Okay, so hello.
ဖတ်လိုက်တော့မယ်နော်
Yes,
okay.
ma. Yes, thank you, ma.
Yeah, welcome
So hello, everyone. Okay, nice to meet you all. So yes, I would like to share my slide first. Okay, so please wait for a while. Okay, so hope that you all can see my slide now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you hear me clearly?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you. So as yes, Teacher Mary has already said that we are going to study some functional language and do some listening and speaking practice in this lecture. So you have done right some listening practice and I think so only one functional language, right? You have studied. Okay, so let's look at the second. This is the second functional language we are going to study. So this is contrast, right? So you have already listened to the same recording, right? For more than 2 times. So teacher ခုနကတော့လေ teacher Mary ဖွင့်ပြတော့ listening ကနှစ်ခေါက်ထပ်ပို့ပြီးတော့ဖွင့်သွားတယ်လို့ထင်တယ်နော်။ဆိုတော့ teacher ထပ်ပြီးတော့ဖွင့်ပြရင် so do you want to listen to this recording again or not? So ပြန်နားထောင်ခြင်းသေးလား So yes or no?
Yes, again, please.
Yes. Okay. So I will play this same recording, right? And what you have to do is you have to listen, right? You have to focus on the words or phrases that show contrast. So ဒီတစ်ခေါက်ကျတော့ဘာကိုနားထောင်မလဲဆိုရင်ခုနကတော့ subject matter တစ်ခုလုံးကိုနားထောင်သွားတာပေါ့နော်ဒီတစ်ခေါက်ကျတော့ကျတော့ဘာကိုနားထောင်မလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင် you have to focus on the words or phrases that show contrast. So ဒီ contrast ကိုပြောသွားတဲ့ contrast ဖြစ်စေတဲ့စကားလုံးတွေ expression တွေကိုကျတော့နားထောင်ပါမယ်နော် So which words or phrases do you hear to show contrast, right? Okay, so please take out your notebook and pen and so that you can write down, right? Some words that show contrast you hear from this recording, right? Listen carefully and write down some words or phrases that you hear from this recording, right? So ဒီချက်ပြောတာနားလည်လားမသိဘူးနော် contrast ကိုပြတဲ့ contrast ကိုပြောနေတဲ့စကားလုံးတွေကိုတို့ဘာလုပ်ဖို့လို့လဲဆိုရင်ခြာရေးဖို့လိုတယ်ပေါ့နော် Okay, so please wait.
Track 9, Lesson D, Hate List.
Right, so it's back to the studio to take a closer look at today's news stories. So, Amanda, what have you got for us today?
Well, Steve, there's a great survey that's just come out to find the UK's top 10 most hated professions.
Most hated professions?
Yes, that's right. Care to guess what comes in at number 1?
I reckon number 1 has got to be tax inspectors.
Well, no, actually, you're wrong. In fact, they're not actually in the top 10, although you're not going to be at all surprised to find out who the number one most hated profession is.
Well, if it's not tax inspectors, then I guess it must be traffic wardens?
Yes, that's the one. It seems that despite admitting that traffic wardens are a necessary evil, people still think they're the number one high street villains.
I can believe it. I can remember the last time I got a ticket. I was furious. I'd only gone into the shop for 5 minutes, and even though I said I was going to move the car straight away, she still booked me. I couldn't believe it.
You and 1,000 others like you, Steve. But it seems that the traffic wardens themselves aren't too happy with the results. They claim that they're only trying to keep our town centres free of unwanted traffic, and that despite all the stories to the contrary, they are not vindictive and often give drivers a second chance if they say they're moving on.
I can't say I've ever seen that happen. So, who else is on the list? Lawyers? Journalists? Paparazzi?
No, actually none of those made it to the top 10.
None of them? I find that hard to believe. So, who are the people we love to hate?
Well, there are quite a few I agree with, and I think you will too. Telesales reps, for example. And although I know it's not their fault and they're only doing their job and all that, I absolutely hate being disturbed at home by cold callers.
Yeah, and the phone companies themselves are the worst. I don't answer the phone anymore. Anyone who wants to get hold of me can text me or leave a message.
Yes, and I don't suppose anyone's going to stand up and defend nightclub bouncers or estate agents either.
Are they there then?
Yes, at numbers 2 and 3 respectively, followed by motorcycle couriers and bus drivers.
There must have been a lot of stressed out city drivers answering that survey.
Yes, and although I tend to agree with most of what's on the list, there are some surprises too. Footballers, for example. I thought they were everybody's heroes.
Yes, well, they're supposed to be heroes, aren't they? But in spite of their special hero status, they can be real arrogant, obnoxious thugs at times. I think that's the thing. Despite the fact that they're paid like gods, they often behave badly. Swearing, spitting, starting fights.
Yes, well then you'll agree with the next one too, Steve. Reality TV show contestants.
Oh, yes, definitely. Famous for being famous. What kind of job is that? Not really a job at all. In fact, I think I'd put them at number 1.
Well, they're actually at number 10, after PR people and politicians.
Ah, the professional liars. I'm sorry, is that very cynical of me? So, what about the flip side? Do they say anything about the most respected jobs? Radio show host, maybe? Disc jockeys?
No, I'm afraid not. Despite your own dazzling performance, Steve, I think you're going to have to content yourself with not being one of the baddies. No, the most respected professionals are members of the armed forces, followed by rescue workers, nurses, vets, teachers, ambulance drivers, and firefighters.
Just as it should be. Thanks, Amanda. If you've got any comments, please drop us a line on something to say.
Okay, so how that you all got some words or phrases to show contrast. Okay, so please type your answer or your words in the chat box. So which words or phrases did you hear from this recording? So please type your answer in the chat box. So I'm waiting for your answers. Yes. Yes, great. Yes, even though, despite, even though, yes. In spite of, yes, great. And yes. Yes, no, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not. Yes. So the words that show contrast. So စန့်ကျင်ဘက်လေးတွေပြောတဲ့ဟာမှာသုံးတဲ့စကားလုံးလေးတွေပေါ့နော်။အကြောင်းအရာနှစ်ခုကမတူညီရှေ့ကအကြောင်းအရာနဲ့နောက်ကအကြောင်းအရာမတူညီဘူးဆိုရင်ကျတို့ဘာတွေသုံးလဲ Yes, even though, yes, despite, yes, great. Yes, despite. So, but, yes. Although, yes, great. So, in fact. Okay, so let's see for the sake of time. So I will show you the words, right? here. Yes, here are some phrases or some words to show contrast. So even though, although, despite, in spite of. Okay, so look at the first two phrases or words here. Even though and although, despite and in spite of, so are used to link two pieces of contrasting information. So အကြောင်းအရာနှစ်ခုကိုမတူဘူးဆိုရင်ဒီတို့ကဘာတွေသုံးလဲဆိုဒီစကားလုံးတွေ even though, although, despite, in spite of လို့သုံးတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါ to link two pieces of contrasting information. And although and even though are used with a clause. So even though နဲ့ although ကြတော့ဒီတို့က clause နဲ့သုံးတယ် for example, although it was raining heavily, right? He went outside. So မိုးတွေတအားရွာနေတော့လည်းပဲသူအပြင်သွားတယ်ဒါဆိုရှေ့မှာရှေ့ကအကြောင်းအရာနဲ့နောက်ကအကြောင်းအရာကိုသွားပါလဲဆိုဆင့်ကျင်ဘက်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးလေးပြလိုက်တယ် although it was raining heavily he went outside. Okay, so although and even though are used with a clause, and despite of, so you can use with these words, right, with a noun or with a noun phrase or verb plus ing, right? So despite the heavy rain or in spite of the heavy rain, right? Or yes, in spite of raining heavily. Okay, so next one, despite the fact that, or in spite of the fact that, so you can use with a clause. So ဒါကတော့ဒီချေတို့ဘာကိုပြောဆိုဒီစကားလုံးတွေကဘာအတွက်သုံးတာလဲဒီစကားလုံးဆိုရင်သူရဲ့ meaning ပေါ့နော် to link two pieces of contrasting information စံကျင်မဲ့ idea တွေတွဲပြီးသုံးတယ်ဒါကတော့ grammar points လေးတွေကိုပြောသွားတာ although ရဲ့နောက်မှာဆိုရင် clause လိုက်မယ် even though ရဲ့နောက်မှာဆိုရင် clause လိုက်မယ် despite in spite of ရဲ့နောက်မှာဆိုရင် noun လိုက်မယ် and noun phrase or verb plus ing. So I have already given you some example, right, using with these words. And despite the fact that with a clause, right, clause တွေနဲ့တွဲသုံးမယ်ဆိုတော့ဒီချက်တို့ဒါကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့ so I like to summarize contrast clauses with this table. Okay, so look at this table. So although, yes, can you tell me which one is used with although? So noun or noun phrase or ing or clause?
Clause.
So which one? Yes, very good, clause, right? And even though, for even though?
Clause.
Yes, clause also. Yes, you can use clause after even though, right? So even though, yes, clause. And though?
Clause.
Yes, only clause. So clause is used after though. Okay, for despite and in spite of? Which, yes, very good. Noun phrase and ing, right? So both words are used with noun phrase and ing, right? Okay, so and what about the despite the fact that?
Clause.
Yes, clause. You can use only clause after this phrase, right? Clause. And what about the last one?
Clause.
Yes, clause. Very good. Okay, so these are the grammar points, some grammar points for, yes, the words or phrases that show contrast. So ဒီစကားလုံးတွေရဲ့နောက်မှာဒီလိုမျိုးဟာတွေဒီစကားလုံးဒီ phrase တွေပေါ့နော် noun တို့ clause တို့ ing တို့လိုက်တယ်ဆိုပုံစံမှန်အောင်ရေးတတ်မှာပြောတတ်မှာ grammatically correct ဖြစ်မယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါလေးကိုသိဖို့လိုပါတယ် Okay, so let's move on to next function. Okay, so we have already studied two kinds of functional language. So the first one is what? So teacher Mary taught you what functional language?
To change the subject.
Yes, very good. Changing the subject, right? Changing the subject. And the second one is contrast. So we are, yes, as we have already said that we are going to study 5 functional language and we have already learned 2 functional language. The first one is changing the subject and the second one is contrast. And now we are going to study next functional language. This is job interview. Okay, so what kinds of questions, right, are you going to be asked in the job interview? Okay, so please think of any questions. So you are, yes, you expect to be asked in the job interview. Okay, so please type only one questions you expect in the job interview. Okay, so please type only one questions in the chat box. So when you are going to sit for an interview. So what kind of questions?
Tell me something about yourself.
Yes, very good. Okay, so please type your questions. Yes, the questions you expected. Yes, very good. Yes, very good. Tell me about yourself. And so
How
tell
did
me
you
about.
feel?
Yes, very good. And are you a graduate or yes, are you a graduate? So why do you want this job? Yes, why do you want this job? Do you have any yes experience? Yes, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Yes, very good. And why do you think you are the most suitable person for this job? Very good. Okay, so how much salary do you expect? Yes, the good questions. Okay, so tell me about your strength. Yes, tell me about your strengths or your weakness. Yes, great. How did you hear about these positions? Yes, how did you hear? Yes, how did you see, right? About these positions. Yes, great. Okay, so okay, so yes, which position do you want? Which position do you want? Yes, you applied for the particular position. Yes, maybe. Okay. Okay, so now please focus on the questions, right? The interviewer ask, right? To the interviewee. Yes. Okay, so let me see. Why did you decide to apply for this position and why should we hire you? Yes, great questions. Okay, so listen to the recording carefully, and then please focus on the questions the interviewer asked to the interviewee, right? Okay, so listen carefully. Sorry.
Track 13, Lesson D. A good job.
Hello, come in. Please sit down.
Thank you.
So, Annette, can you tell us something about your work experience to date?
Yes, well, I've been working in the communications sector since I left university. To start with, I worked as a volunteer at a local radio station, but more recently I've been working as a press officer for a local homeless charity. The job involves attending conferences and giving talks, and most importantly, taking part in the grassroots work of the charity on the street, coordinating the work of the volunteers and setting up self-help groups for the homeless.
I see. And why are you interested in the post of communications coordinator?
Well, for several reasons. First of all, because it would be the logical next step in my career. In my current job, I write press releases and liaise with volunteers to develop stories, and I think this post would give me the chance to develop my skills in this area. Secondly, because I want to stay in the non-profit sector, and I'm particularly interested in local projects and coordinating the work of the local volunteers. That's an area that I would really like to learn more about. When I was at university, I took 3 months out to travel around Latin America and I got involved in some voluntary work in Costa Rica. I actually came across some volunteers who were working for the RPA.
Ah, so you know something about our work out there already?
Yes, I do, and I was very impressed by what I saw.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying...
Yes, and thirdly, because I would love to live and work in Central America. I fell in love with it when I was out there and I've always wanted to go back.
I see. Thank you. And what do you think you personally can bring to this job?
Well, as my CV shows, I've got quite a lot of experience of writing promotional materials. I've been running the press office single-handed in my current position for a year. I've worked on various projects where I had to coordinate the work of small groups of volunteer workers. I'm interested in the issues surrounding your work in Central America, and maybe most importantly, I'm hardworking, keen and enthusiastic.
Fine. What do you see as your strengths, Annette?
Well, I enjoy a challenge. When I started my present job, I'd never written a press release before, but I soon learnt. I take pride in my ability to meet tight schedules and deadlines. I think I work well under pressure, and I'm usually good at setting priorities and keeping to them.
And what about your weaknesses?
Well, I know I have a tendency to get carried away sometimes, and that I can sometimes spend far too long on one project to the detriment of others. So, as I said before, I always make sure I set my priorities and don't waste time on tasks that can be dealt with later.
Are there any aspects of the job that worry you? Any aspects you think you may need extra help or support with?
No, not really. Although the job is probably a lot bigger than anything I've tackled before, I don't think I'll have any particular problems. In fact, I'm really looking forward to being able to improve my Spanish.
Ah, and your level of Spanish is pretty good then?
Yes, I think so. I'm certainly capable of getting by in most day-to-day situations.
Right. Thank you, Annette. And now...
Okay, so what kind of questions did you hear from this recording? Okay, so let me check. Just great. So can you tell me about your work experience? Yes. Why are you interested in communication coordinator? Yes. What do you think your personality bring this job? Yes. What do you think your personality can bring to this job? Yes. What about your weaknesses? Yes. Yes. Are there any aspects, right? Not expect, yes, aspects of the job that worry you? That's a great job. Okay, so you can hear some questions slide. Can you tell me something about your work experience to date? And the second questions you had is, so why are you interested in the post of communications coordinator? And the third one, what do you think yes, you personally can bring, right, so to this job? And what do you see as your strengths, right? And what about your weaknesses? And are there any aspects of the job that worry you? So these are the questions so you heard from this recording. Okay, so let's look at this slide. On this slide, you are given parts of some sentences, right? So please read them quickly. So these are part of the sentences. So taken from the answer of the interviewee. So I have been working in, to start with, I work at, and the job involves, I'm usually good at. I have worked on various projects where I take pride in my ability to. I think this post would give me the chance to, and I know I have a tendency to, right? So these are part of the sentences. And what I would like you to do is, yes, here on this slide, right? So, so can you see these font size? So I think it's a little bit smaller than the first one, right? Okay, so can you read this? Sorry. Okay. Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Okay, so here are the first, so a left-hand column, right? So you see there are, yes, some part of the sentences, right? Part of the sentences, and what you have to do is match with the second half, right? The second half, yes, great. Yes, very good. The second half of these sentences, right? You are given the second halves of these sentences from A to H. So what you have to do is match the first part of the sentences with their second halves, right? Okay, so I will give you 2 minutes, and so please send your answer to me. So in the chat box. Okay, so let me check. Okay, so great. And yes, great. So I think rule number 315, yes, your answer is correct. Okay, so rule number 402, yes, correct. And so 345, yes, I think your number is 345. Yes, both your answers are correct for 1 and 2. Yes, 0079. Yes, great. So, yes, your answers for the two number 1 and 2 are correct. Yes, Amon. Yes, when Amon or Amon, I don't know. Sorry. Yes. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes, all your answers are correct. Yes. So 4. Yes, correct. So 0402. Yes, your answer is correct. Okay, 0345. Yes, your answer is correct for number 3. Yes, great. And 0143. Yes, your answer for number yes, I'm sorry. So your answer is not correct. 10143. Okay, so 0141. So yes, sorry. Your answer is not correct for number 8. Yes, 0345. Your answer for number 4 is correct. Yes, 0069. Yes. Yes, I think. Yes, all are correct. Okay, so 0345. Yes, your answer for number 5 is correct. And 042. Sorry, 0402. Yes, your answer for number 6 is yes, correct. Okay, 70. Yes, 0079. Yes, correct. 0223. Yes, all your answer for the 3 numbers are correct. Okay, 0402. Yes, correct. Okay, for the sake of time, I will skip, right? Okay, so let's see the answer for yes, the the half, yes, the second part of these first sentences. This first part of these sentences. Okay, so here are the answer for this one. Okay, so I have been working in the communication center since I left university, and to start with, I work as a volunteer at a local radio station. And number 3, the job involves F, attending conferences and giving talks. And number 4, I'm usually good at, so what? Good at setting priorities. And 5, I have worked on various projects where I had to coordinate the work of small groups of volunteer workers. And number 6, I take pride in my ability to meet tight schedules and deadlines. So you can pronounce this one, schedule or schedules, right? To meet tight schedules and deadlines. And number 7, I think this post would give me the chance to develop my skills in this area. Okay, so I know I have a tendency to get carried away sometimes. So do you know the meaning of this phrase, get carried away? So the meaning of this get carried away is so excited, right? So I know I have a tendency to get carried away sometime. Okay, so thank you for all, yes, for giving me the answer in the chat box. Okay, so for the sake of I can check you all of your answers. So sorry for that. Okay, so let's move on to next slide. So here, yes, here on this slide, you are going to see the questions you might hear in the job interview. So about the new job, asking the new job. Okay, so actually, I want you to ask, right? Yes, Sam, what kind of questions do you expect? So below မိခွန်းမျိုးတွေကို interview မှာပေါ့နော်မေးလို့ရှိရင် new job နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးဘယ်လိုမေးခွန်းမျိုးတွေကိုမေးမယ်လို့ယူဆလဲပေါ့နော်မေးမယ်လို့ထင်လဲပေါ့ဆိုဒီချက်ကိုတစ်ကြောင်းနှစ်ကြောင်းလောက် so please write only one questions or two questions, one or two questions in the chat box. So asking about the new job. So interviewer ကကို new job နဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့မေးမယ်ဆိုရင်ဘယ်လိုမေးခွန်းမျိုးတွေများ expect လုပ်မိလဲပေါ့ Yes. Yes, great. why did you apply for this position? Yes, great. 0593. Yes, great answer. Yes, great questions. Okay, so 0475. Have you experienced? Yes, great. Have you experienced before? Right? Have you experienced? Yes. Do you like? Yes. Do you like traveling? Yes, maybe. Yes, 0082. Yes. What are your strengths? Yes, great. So the new job. Yes, can you tell me your work experiences? Yes, work experience. So why did you choose this job? Yes, great. Okay, so what do you find most challenging about working for this company? Yes, why did you apply this position? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for your questions. Yes, thank you for your questions. Yes, how do you know about this job? Yes. What do you know about this company or organization? Okay, thank you for your questions. Okay, so let me show you some sample questions for asking you the new about the new job. So why have you applied for this job? So would you be good at it? Right? So you are applying for the new job. So the interviewer will ask you these questions, right, in the interview. So why would you be good at it? What can you bring to it? Why do you want to work for this organization? Yes. Yes, very good. What is the estimated salary? So how good are you at handling responsibility? So do you want to take on more responsibility? So would you be prepared to travel? What salary do you hope to get? Okay, so thank you for your questions. And these are the sample questions you are going to be hard or ask in the interview when you are asking about the new job, right? And let's move on to next slide. So here are some questions, yes, you might hear in the job interview for asking you about your previous and current job. So these are the questions you are going to be asked, right? When you take or when you have an interview. So ဒီကျတော့ interview သွားဖြေတော့မယ်ဆိုရင်လေကိုယ့်ရဲ့ငကိုတုန်းက previous job ပေါ့နော်ငကို Hello Hello Okay, so what do you do in your current job? Right? အခုကိုကလက်ရှိအလုပ်လုပ်နေတယ်ပေါ့နော်လက်ရှိလုပ်နေနောက် job တစ်ခုကိုသွားပြီးရှောက်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အခု current အလုပ်ကဘာလဲ What do you do in your current job? Are you good at it? And what is your current employer like? And why do you sorry, so why do you want, right? Yes, I forgot to type T here. So why do you why do you want to leave your current job? So what was the high point of your current or last job? So what was the low point of your current and last job? So describe your ideal job. So are there any other jobs you are applying for? So these are yes, some questions you might hear in the job interview, right? Asking for the previous and current job. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so can you think of any questions, right? Do you expect to hear from the interviewers when they ask you about your relationship with colleague? Right? Okay, so can you type one questions so in the chat box? So when the interviewer asks you about your relationship with colleagues, so ကိုယ့်ရဲ့လုပ်ဖို့အကိုင်ဘက်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ကိုဘယ်လိုမျိုးမေးခွန်းမျိုးမေးနိုင်လဲပေါ့နော် interviewer တွေက so ဒီချက်ကိုတစ်ချောင်းလောက် so can you type one questions in the chat box? So I'm waiting for your questions. Yes, great. Thank you. So what are the challenges in working in your, yes, very good, in your with your colleagues? Yes, what are the challenges in working with your colleagues? And yes, thank you, 0593. Yes, great questions. Yes. Are you friendly? Yes. Are you friendly with your colleagues? Yes, very good. So do you have good communication skill? Yes, great questions. Okay, so did you get along with your colleagues? Yes, did you get along with your colleagues? Yes, do they work? Yes, do they hear me? I think they hear me, your colleagues, right? Do your colleagues work a lot? A lot? Yes, sorry. Okay, so any other questions? Yes. Yes, do you love to work with team? Yes, great, and great questions. So did you have a good communication skill and warmly environment with your colleagues? Yes. So I think you're spelling, right? Colleagues, colleagues, right? So the spelling. So are you responsible? Yes, are you responsible for your job? Are you responsible for your job or for your job? Can you work with, yes, can you work well with your colleagues? Yes. Can you work with your colleagues very well? So what do your colleagues tell you? Yes, tell about you. Yes, great questions. So thank you for your questions. And let's see some sample questions here, right? How would you get on with others? Yes, do you work well in teams? So what annoys you about colleagues? And what would your colleagues criticize about you? What would you happily work under a manager younger than you? Right? Okay, so can you tell me a difficult time? Yes, you have had dealing with your colleagues. Yes, great questions. So 0079, thank you for your questions. Okay, so these are some sample questions you expect to hear from your interviewers when you are asked about your relationship with colleagues. And let's see, yes. Yes, can you think of any questions you might hear from your interviewer? Yes, asking about you and your character and skill, right? So you have already sent me. So what are your weaknesses or what are your strengths, right? Okay, so here are some sample questions. So what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? What hobbies or leisure interests have you got? Should we be worried about your age? Right? Maybe you may be younger than the expected. So ကိုကအရန်ငယ်နေတာလည်းဖြစ်ခြင်းဖြစ်မယ် or you may be older than the expect. Yes, very good. So do you think working with team is effective? Yes, very good. How can you provide our job? So should we be worried about your age or should we be worried about your qualifications or lack of qualifications သူတို့လိုချင်တဲ့ qualification ကိုမှရှိချင်မှရှိမယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါမျိုးခြေနေမျိုးမှဆိုဒီလိုမျိုး question မျိုးတွေကိုကိုမေးနိုင်တယ်ပေါ့ဒါကတော့ teacher ကဘယ်ပေါ်မှာ focus လုပ်ပြီးတော့ပြောသွားရလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင် interviewers တွေမေးနိုင်တဲ့မေးခွန်းတွေပေါ်မှာ focus လုပ်ပြီးတော့ဆရာပြောသွားတာဆိုဒီဟာလေးကပါတယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင် job interview နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ functional language တွေကိုပြောသွားတာပေါ့နော် language notes တွေကိုပြောသွားတာ okay so I hope that this is a handy selection of some common questions and you can prepare the answer for them before you take an interview. Right? This the questions they are da ko ye live ဘဝနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့လဲဒါတွေကသုံးပြန်ဝင်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီမေးခွန်းလေးတွေကိုသိထားပြီးဆိုရင် interviewers တွေကဒီလိုမေးခွန်းမျိုးတွေမေးနိုင်တယ်ဆိုရင် so teacher ကဘာလို့လို့ရတယ်ဆိုရင် we have to prepare right the answer for them or for these questions before we have an interview ကျတော့ interview မသွားခင်မဝင်ခင်မှာကျတော့ဒါကြိုတင်ပြင်ဆင်သွားလို့ရတဲ့အရာတွေပေါ့နော် so any questions ကျတော့ဒီကျတော့ဒီထိမေးစရာရှိလားမရှိစင်ကျန်နောက် language တစ်ခုနောက် functional language တစ်ခုသွားခြင်းလို့နော် Okay, so any questions? So if not, I'll move to the next functional language, right? This is fake language. Okay, so how do you understand by the word fake? V-A-G-U-E. So how do you understand by the word fake? So this word. So this is. Okay, so please type your answer to me. Yes, great. Yes, very good. And clear. Yes, and clear. Not clearly, right? Not clearly expressed or and clear, right? And clear. And setting or and identify, right? And identify. Yes, very good. Yes, so 0079. So you are giving me some example of fake language. That's good. Good. Very good. Yes, very good. 0466. Yes. So I don't know who. So you are, yes. Yes, unsure. Very good. Meditator. Yes, very good. Okay, so unsure. Yes, unsure and setting are not clearly or unclear is in unclearly not clearly expressed or unsetting or indefinite, right? Indefinite. This is called fake. Okay, so can you think of yes any an example of fake language? So please type some example or an example. So you can give me only one example or yes, more than one example for fake language. Yes, very good. Kinds of, sort of. Yes, very good. And what is? Yes, something like that. Okay, something like that. Sort of. Yes, very good. Sort of. Something like that. So ကျတော့စကားပြောတဲ့ခါကျရင်လေကိုကမသေးချဘူးပေါ့နော်မသေးချဘူးလို့ဖြစ်နေတဲ့ချိန်မျိုးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကိုကစကားကို short ချလိုက်တဲ့သဘောမျိုးပေါ့ short ချလိုက်တယ် yes very good about the kind of thing yes the thing yes I'm not sure about that so this is the fake language I'm not sure about that yes so you know probably yes great so okay so let's see here. Okay, so please read this test and find 10 fake expressions right in this test and send your answers to me right as usual in the chat box. Okay, so please read the test first and then you see in this test you can see 10 fake expressions, right? So I will give you 2 minutes. Yes, great. So only something. Yes, something. Yes, or something. Yes, great. Stop. Yes, stop like that. So the and stop like that. Yes. And yes, like the first one is likes and stop like that. Yes, very good. Or somewhere. Yes, or somewhere. Yes, great. Or somewhere. And you know. Yes, very good. You know. Where you know, yes, more or less, very good, more or less. Yes, that the speaker is not sure what he or she is talking about. Yes, something. And it kind of worries me. Yes, very good. It kinds of. Yes, kinds of. Yeah, kind of, not kinds of, kind of. Yes, so on. Yes, great, and so on. Yes, you know, the something. Or something, right? And so on. Yes, sort of. Yes, great. Okay, so let's see. Yes, most of you got the correct words for fake language or fake expression. Okay, so let's look at the first one. So the first one is like, right? My girlfriend's really into like. So the speaker, yes, like that. Yes, very good. So 0315. So you have yes, all the answer for fake language. Yes, very good. Because they like, so the speaker is not sure or uncertain about what he or she is. I think that the speaker is he, right? What he is speaking, right? Mountain climbing and stuff like that. Right? This is also fake expressions and you know, and also right, and or somewhere, so that is not sure the place. So and more or less and so on and kind of, right, and or something and sort of, right. So these are the fake right expressions, right, when the speaker is not sure or uncertain, right, about he or she is speaking. Right. ကျတို့ကလေစကားပြောတဲ့အခါမှာကိုကမသိချဘူးတိတ်လည်းမသိဘူးဆိုလို့ရှင်ဒါလေးဒီစကားလုံးတွေသုံးပြီးတော့ short ချလိုက်တာပေါ့နော် like and stuff like that and you know or somewhere or so, right? So these are the fake example of fake expressions. Okay, so now listen and complete the test or the blanks, right? Complete the blanks and so read the test first, and then I'm going to play the recording, right? And what you have to do is please focus on only focus on fake expressions in this recording. Okay, so please read this test first, and then I'm going to play the recording. Okay, so are you ready? So I'm going to play the recording. So for 2 times, right? So listen carefully and try to complete the blanks. So ဒီကျတော့တေချာနားထောင်ပြီးတော့ blank 10ခုပေးထားတယ်အဲ့10ခုကို focus လုပ်ပြီးနားထောင်ရမယ့်စကားလုံးကဘာလဲဆိုရင် fake expressions တွေပြောထားတဲ့စကားလုံးလေးတွေကို focus လုပ်ပြီးနားထောင်မယ်ပေါ့နော် Okay, so are you ready? So listen carefully.
Track 17.
Her favourite place is called, like, Mount McKinley or something, where she went a couple of years ago or so. It's in Canada or Alaska or somewhere. I've always been sort of hopeless at remembering names of mountains and places and so on. I kind of enjoy looking at her photos, you know, and listening to her stories and stuff like that, but it's more or less all she talks about.
Okay, so I will play this recording for the second time. Sorry.
17.
Her favourite place is called, like, Mount McKinley or something, where she went a couple of years ago or so. It's in Canada or Alaska or somewhere. I've always been sort of hopeless at remembering names of mountains and places and so on. I kind of enjoy looking at her photos, you know, and listening to her stories and stuff like that, but it's more or less all she talks about.
Okay, so hope that you all got all the answers from this recording. Okay, so please type your answers to me. So please send your answers to me. Yes, great. So 0201. Yes. Yes, very good. So the answer for number 1 is correct. Okay, 0522, 0402. Yes, 0069. Yes, great. So or something, right? The second one is you can hear I hope that you hear the word or something. Okay, so great. Yes. Yes, something. Yes, number 2. Okay, so like something. Yes, so yes, also or also or somewhere. Yes, great. Somewhere, sort of. Yes, so on. Yes, also. Also, not also, right? So number 3 is also. O-R-O-N-S-O. So also, not also. Okay, so somewhere. Yes, also, great. Kind of. Yes, stuff like that. Yes, so like or something. Yes, also, somewhere, and so on. Yes, kind of. Yes, great. Yes, thank you for all your answers. Yes, you all, most of you got all the answer. Yes, great. So thank you. So thank you for your answers. Okay, so let's see. So number 1, right? Here, our favorite place is called, right? Like, and the second one, or something. And number 3, also, not also, right? Not ELSO. or, and, so, so. And number 4, somewhere, and sort of, here, so on. And I kind of enjoy, right? And you know, and stuff like that. And the last one is more or less, right? Okay, so listen this recording for the 3rd time, and this time you have to yes, read the these thoughts while listening to the recording, right?
Track 17.
Her favourite place is called like Mount McKinley or something, where she went a couple of years ago or so. It's in Canada or Alaska or somewhere. I've always been sort of hopeless at remembering names of mountains and places and so on. I kind of enjoy looking at her photos, you know, and listening to her stories and stuff like that, but it's more or less all she talks about.
Okay, so now let's look at some language notes for fake language on this slide here. So fillers, softeners, or imprecise descriptions or approximations, right? So these, yes. So these are called vague language, right? So for fillers, like, you know, yes, these are examples of filler, kind of, sort of. These are example of softeners. So soften, right? The word soften. So နည်းနည်းလေးပျော့ပြီးတော့ပြောလိုက်တာပေါ့နော် So in precise descriptions, so here or someone or something or step like that. So these are example of imprecise descriptions. And the last one, so approximation, so အနည်းဆက်ဆုံးပြောလိုက်တာ also or more or less. So မသေးချာတာတော့အားလုံးကမသေးချာတာတွေကြီးပဲ unclear or uncertain တွေကြီးပဲအဲ့လိုကျွန်တော်ကဘာအမျိုးအစားကွဲသွားလဲဆို filler လေးသုံးတာလား So fillers မှာအများကြီးပဲတချို့သူတွေက fillers တွေသုံးတာရှိ like, you know, well, right, so စသည်ဖြစ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတွေသုံးကြတယ်အခုကတော့ soften အောင်မှာတော့ kind of soft on နဲ့တွားပြီးတော့သူကဘာလုပ်လို့ရလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကိုကမသိချတာ uncertain ဖြစ်တဲ့ language ကိုပေါ့နော် soften တွေသုံးတယ်ဆိုဒီဟာတွေကတော့ဒါကျွန်တော်တို့အခေါ်အဝေါ်လေးတွေပဲပေါ့နော်များသောဖြင့်အားလုံးကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ခြုံပြောမယ်ဆိုရင် these all are called fake language, right? Okay, so this is one of the functional language, right? And the less functional language we are going to study is generalizing, right? Generalizing. Okay, so look at this slide and find the expressions that show the speaker is making a generalization, right? Generalizing ideas. Okay, so which word or phrases or which expressions in these sentences shows, right? The speaker is making a generalization. Okay, so for number 1, so which one is which phrase or which expressions? Yes. Yes, very good. Generally, yes, very good. Generally speaking, yes, very good. Generally speaking, here, generally speaking. Okay, so for number 2.
Mostly.
Yes, very good. Mostly. Yes, here. Okay, so for number 3. For number 3. Yes, as a rule. Yes, as a rule. Very good. As a rule. Okay, so for number 4.
For the most part.
Yes, for the most part. Yes, very good. And the last one.
By and large.
Yes, by and large, right? So these are the expressions, right, that show the speaker is making a generalization. So generalize like that one. So let's move on to the next slide. So here you see 5 more sentences. And so here also what you have to do is find the expressions that show the speaker is making a generalization, right? Okay, so for number 6, so which one?
Generally.
Yes, very good. Generally. And number 7?
On the whole.
Yes, on the whole. Yes, on the whole. And
Broadly speaking.
yes, broadly speaking. Yes, broadly speaking. And number 9?
In general.
Yes, in general, right? So you see there are some expressions that show the speaker is making a generalization, right? Okay, so thank you for your yes answer in the chat box. Okay, so thank you all. Okay, so here have a look at language note, right? Language notes of generalizing. So when we want to say that the things that you are about to say are generally true. Okay, so what or which kinds of expressions are we